If you're looking for the best camping coffee maker for your next adventure, then my friends, you are in the right place. Today I'm reviewing the Chub Coffee Maker and finding out if this could be your perfect match. Hey, thanks for joining me. My name is Jane Sarche. I write recipes for a living. This is Myrtle, my adorable camper van, and it's in this tiny kitchen that we bring you guys awesome one-pot camping recipes, plus, now it seems, coffee maker reviews. Now, if that sounds like your cup of joe, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, ding that little bell, and join us on our tasty adventures. Okay, let's get right on into it, friends. This is the Chub Coffee Maker. Now, this apparently is made for anglers and fishermen, of which I am neither. I do not have the patience to be sat on a riverbank trying to catch myself a fish, but I do like to get me a nice cup of coffee when I'm off grid. So inside the box, what do we have? We have the obligatory instruction manual, which is always good for a laugh, am I right? We have a little nozzly hosey thing, and then we've got this little net bag, and inside you have a cup with a folding handle and the actual coffee maker inside. Now, this coffee maker is based on the mocha pot design, so basically you fill this bottom barrel up with water, making sure that it doesn't come above this little pressure valve here. For the record, I don't like that sound. Aluminium on aluminium, not nice. This is the lid. We've got a little gasket and a filter here, and inside you've got this little basket funnel where you put your coffee grounds. Fill the furnace with clean water until it closes to the pressure valve. Okay, we've got some good instructions here, people. Attention, never make water level exceed pressure valve. Well, I know that that's a pressure valve, so that's cool. So what we're going to do is add the water up to the bottom of that little bolt, which is to there. Also, for the record, it says on the box that it holds 1 litre. That's not a litre. I will measure that for the second half of this review. That's a typo or a lie. Not quite sure which at this point. Then we're going to put the funnel into there. Now we need to fill up this basket with coffee, and as always I'm going to be using this exact same beans in these reviews so that I know the coffee well, I know that I love the coffee, and then I'll be able to tell if the coffee maker is giving it justice or if it's just making a bad cup of coffee. Does that make sense? I don't know. This is Owen's Organic Coffee. They're from Ivy Bridge in Devon. I did give them a shout out in a video recently because I've only just discovered their coffee and I have fallen head over heels in love with it. For the record, I am not sponsored by Owen's. They're just a local roastery. I love what they're doing. Every single bean that enters Owen's coffee roasters in Devon is organic, and it always has been in the 10 years I think they've been going. Great product. I'm going to leave a link for them down below. Feel free to go and check them out. And in case you're wondering, I'm using the dark blend. Again, I'll leave a link to that below. Okay, so here it is, freshly ground. Now, the thing with a mocha pot is that you need to be filling this up to the top. That's a lot of coffee for not a lot of water, so we're obviously going for a hardcore espresso here. Let's see how much coffee this actually takes. I'm using a fine grind, so that is as much coffee as I would put in an AeroPress for one person, and we're nowhere near being full. Wow. Okay, that's 2 AeroPress worths. I'm going to leave it there, so 2.5 times the coffee that I would use to make 1 cup in an AeroPress. This might be a good choice if there's 2 or 3 of you, but if you've got to have this basket full and there's only 1 of you, I'm not seeing that that's going to be a very economical use of one's quality coffee beans. So I've popped the grounds in there, I've leveled it off, but I haven't pressed it down. And I'm going to pop my little filter on top. I'm going to pop this gasket thing on here, and then it says revolve the furnace lid and its body until they're combined firmly and placed on the furnace. Heat it with gentle heat. Okay, I know, we've cross-threaded. Oh, the sound of this is like, it's going down my spine a bit. Okay, and with a mocha pot you do need to make sure that that is on tightly. And then we're going to screw the little spouty bit on top. Heat with a gentle heat. Right, let's pop the gas on. And a gentle heat, so I'm going to take that flame right down low. Now, with a mocha pot, I would tend to be putting hot water in the base. It's going to quicken it up. Also, this is going to make an espresso strength coffee, which is too strong for me personally, so I would want to top it up with water anyway to turn it into an Americano. but it's not telling me to do all that, it's telling me to put cold water in. So I'm going to do as I'm told with the instructions today, and then what I'm going to do is use this coffee maker for the next 7 days, and then I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to finish off this review having used it well and hopefully learn all the little tricks and tips that there are to know, and then I'll be able to finish the review off properly and give you a proper outline of whether this is worth the money, whether I like it. I'm also going to be giving it a score out of 100, and then in time we're going to create a leaderboard with all of those scores on, so you will be able to very quickly go and look at the whole list of reviews and find out which is your perfect coffee maker. All right, I'm guessing that that's kind of a low flame, so I'm going to pop my little cute coffee pot on there. I have to say this thing is very sweet. It's very cute to look at, and that's actually the reason that I ordered this to be my first review piece, because I thought it just looked really sweet. And honestly, if I had an orange camper van, I'd be wanting that thing on my shelf whether it made a good cup of coffee or not, because it's cute. This little cup with the folding handle is apparently to sit on there. It's wobbly, it doesn't look safe. Also, this cup is tiny. It's not going to hold all the coffee, so I have got a backup cup here to collect extra. Although it looks cute, I'm kind of feeling that this isn't a very good design, but let's wait and see. So let's put that there, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Now, regular viewers will know that I am in love with my Aerobie AeroPress. That's what I use here in the camper van. So part of the whole series of me wanting to find the best camping coffee maker, if I'm honest, I think I've already found it. But because I love coffee and I kind of love gadgets too, I figure it'd be a lot of fun just going through them all, giving them all a go, finding out what works, what doesn't, and maybe there is something out there that's better than the AeroPress. Watch this space. Okay, I'm starting to hear noises. Oh yeah, something's happening. Oh, this is quite exciting, isn't it? Now, what's going to be happening, hopefully, is coffee is going to be shooting out the top of this spout into that cup at some point soon. Maybe? Steam is coming out the side of the pot. It's not coming out of this pressure valve. It's not coming out of the top, out of the spout. I'm a little bit scared at this point. Pretty sure that's not supposed to be happening. Oh! Oh, Houston! Oh, we have coffee! Oh, that's actually quite exciting. Oh my god, my whole kitchen is covered with splashes of coffee. Now, I will put my hands up at this point. This might be user error. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing. I've read the instructions, which clearly weren't an awful lot of help. But I don't know if you can actually see the coffee everywhere. Just to give you an idea, like, the whole kitchen is covered with splashes. Which, if you're sat on a riverbank, I mean, let's be honest, that's not a problem. But the AeroPress makes zero mess. There's not much about this that's impressing me right now. Alright, that little cup is nearly full. There should be more water in the bottom. So I could swap it over and put a bigger cup there, but I think, in fact, I'm just going to turn the whole thing off. Wow. I'm not quite sure what I'm feeling right now, apart from a little bit annoyed that I'm going to have to clean the kitchen. So, I guess the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. That's really hot. The silicone band is really thin, and that is actually very hot. A little bit concerned about drinking out of this cup as well, because that's very thin aluminium and that is scalding. So I'm going to decant into my lovely handmade mug. I'm going to link to the potter that makes these. She's called Natalie Bonney down in Cornwall, and I absolutely love her coffee mugs. So I thought I'd give her a little bit of promotion too. Oh, that's thick coffee. That actually looked delicious. Now that's burnt. I don't even want to drink it. That, it's really strong. Jeez, that's strong. And that coffee's burnt. I think for a first review that went really well. Right, I am now off to spend the next week with this coffee maker. I'm hopefully going to learn everything there is to know about it, and hopefully I'm going to understand how to actually use it properly so that you can get a drinkable cup of coffee out of it, because right now I'm just a bit gutted that I've wasted a lot of coffee. That is burnt, it's undrinkable. Yeah, not overly impressed at this point. So I will catch up with you in just a mo. Well, I can honestly say that that has been an incredibly traumatic week in my caffeinating world. I wanted to love this thing. I love the design of it. I love the fact that it shoots an espresso coffee out of a cute little spout into the cute little cup. But honestly, in practice, this thing is just crap. I really dislike it. So let me give you everything that I found wrong with this thing. And this is quite a substantial list, so you might want to go and put the kettle on and put your feet up. So first of all, it says on the box that this isn't a deal breaker. It's just an inconsistency that I think I need to point out. It says it takes a litre of liquid. It does not. Well, let's prove how much water this thing actually takes. Okay, so if you're filling this up with water, you can't go above this little bolt thing here, the pressure release valve, okay? So the water currently is right underneath that. So if I pour that into a jug, you will see we have 1/4 of a litre. It says 1 litre on the box. So it could be that they mean the whole thing takes 1 litre. Okay, here it is right up to the top. And now, that takes 400 ml, so that's not even half a litre. So that's not a deal breaker. I don't actually care how much water it holds, but it's an inconsistency on the box. So that's the first thing. My biggest concern is the amount of coffee I've got through this week, because in mocha pot terms, you're supposed to, the best practice is to fill the basket up. Every time bar the last time, I did fill it up and it took 2.5 times more coffee than the AeroPress does for 1 cup of coffee, which if there's 3 of you sat on a riverbank, then perhaps that's fine, but there wasn't, it was just me. So I found that a little bit wasteful. However, the last time I used it, I just tried it with 2 scoops, so my regular AeroPress amount for 1 person, and actually it made an okay cup of coffee. It did push a lot of water through towards the end, so actually if I'd have had the patience and sat there while it spat all over my kitchen, then I probably would have got a full black Americano. So if you do have the misfortune to own one of these, I would definitely try it with just 1 measure of coffee rather than wasting the amount of coffee that I have this week. Seriously, it broke my heart. Now, one of the other things that I have learnt has made it better as the week's gone on is by putting hot water in the basin here rather than cold. Twice I've made it with cold water in the bottom, and both times the coffee has been burnt. However, every time I've used hot water from the kettle, the coffee hasn't been burnt and it's been okay. Not brilliant. I still prefer the coffee made in the AeroPress if I'm honest, but better than using cold. So again, if you have the misfortune to own one of these, then definitely use hot water in the bottom, not cold. And also if you want an Americano, you need the pot of hot water there anyway to top it up afterwards, because it does make very strong coffee. Another thing to note is this lid and gasket. Now, as you saw in the first video, I had steam shooting out the side, not out of this pressure valve, which is where in theory it should have been shooting out from. It was actually shooting out of here. I mean, I must have used this now 8 or 9 times throughout this whole week, and every single time it shot out of here, and every time I was kind of expecting it to blow up in my face. So I imagine it's down to this gasket. Now, I've tried it a couple of ways. The gasket is too big to sit easily in this filter lid thing. A couple of times I have managed to squeeze it in thinking that that's how it should be in there, and that means it would not spit it out the side, but honestly it didn't make any difference. It still spat out the side. So I've no clue, and obviously the book doesn't give us any useful information on how that should be placed in there, so I don't know what to tell you. So another thing that I didn't like is you've got a hot pot here. You're always going to end up with some coffee and hot water left in the bottom. I could never get this thing emptied, however long I left it on the heat. This is hot, obviously, to touch. Getting this lid off, first of all, is really tricky because you can't get a nail underneath it easily. I've tried using sharp knives to try and lift it up, and it's really awkward. It just wound me up. So eventually when you do get this thing off, you've then got this full of hot coffee, and you've got no way of getting this out. Again, you can't get a fingernail underneath this. It's really hot. I've tried lifting it with a sharp knife, and again, if you tip it, then all those coffee grounds are going to go down your sink. I don't want that. I want them in my compost bin. Thank you. The only way to do it is to count to 3, stick your fingers in there and ram it out. It's bloody hot though, so it's not ideal. Another thing I just didn't like. didn't like. I wanted to love this thing, I promise. But unfortunately the negatives still aren't finished. Once you've got this thing on, which actually that time it went on really well. Most times it cross threads at least once, and it makes that horrible like fingernails on blackboard noise. Horrible sound. The other thing is this silicone band, which they class as a handle. Now, I don't have big hands. I'm only a girl. My fingers aren't huge, and yet, as you can see, I touch the metal either side of that silicone band. So when this is hot, and especially if you're on uneven ground, and like, because this is aluminium and it doesn't work on my induction hob, well, I've been using it in the kitchen. I've actually been using this gas stove. And once this is hot and you've made your coffee and everything, you've turned your heat source off, you have to leave this until it's cold, because there is no way you can easily pick this up without burning yourself. Yes, it's got a handle, but it doesn't work. It's rubbish. Also, it's not thick enough. So it's not wide enough, but it's also not thick enough. So there isn't enough heat protection in the bit that is there. Now let's come on to this cup. Again, in theory, it looks cute. The whole thing looks adorable, but it's rubbish. So, I mean, it doesn't sit on there safely to start with, and if you're on a riverbank and it's all a bit wobbly underfoot, like a breath of air and that's going to fall off. Secondly, there's only one cup that comes with this kit, so in theory, you've made a coffee, it's pushed all the coffee out, but it doesn't all fit in here, so what are you supposed to do? If they want you to use this, it's almost like there should be a second one, that you take this off and put the second one there. Also, this thing is thin aluminium. You can't drink out of this. It's way too hot. It would burn your mouth. My battery's about to go. Let me go and change that. But honestly, my biggest problem with this whole thing is the amount of mess it made. Now, this happened every single time I used it, whether I had this dinky little cup here or whether I had like a proper cup underneath it. It went everywhere. Like a diameter of probably 1.5 foot around the coffee maker was splashed with coffee. If everything else worked perfectly, could I have lived with that? Honestly, yeah, I probably could. If I got as much pleasure out of using this thing as I was kind of expecting to, then I probably would have lived with clearing up afterwards. But the fact that every single step of using this coffee maker was annoying, then absolutely not. There ain't no way I'm gonna put up with that mess. Back to the cup, what I would say is if you have one of these, get rid of that. I don't even know what you could do with it, just get rid of that. Get yourself one of those enamel camping mugs, you know those tin things that burn your lips? I'm not suggesting you actually drink out of it. I think I might have one somewhere. Hang on. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't tried this, but I reckon, yeah, I think you're still gonna get splashes of coffee out, but honestly, I reckon that's your best bet. And then I would also want to pour that into another cup because I don't like drinking out of these. I mean, it's not working for me. Nothing about this works. Right, now we're gonna give this poor Chub coffee maker a score out of 100, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Chub isn't gonna be very pleased with the result of this. So, okay, I've got my list here of what we're scoring out of. Number 1 is ease of use. Oh, I can do nothing but give it 0. It was crap. I was confused. I was scared at times when that steam was oiking out the side here. Like, no. Ease of use, crap, 0. Ease of cleanup, that's also getting a 0 because it's hot and it's awkward and no. And then you've also got to clean your kitchen up. It's not just this and your cup. Like, 0. Sorry, Mr. Chub. Quality of brew. Okay, by the end, by putting hot water in here instead of cold, it wasn't great, but it was drinkable. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10, which isn't great. Value for money, and the value for money includes things like the ongoing costs. So if it takes pods or papers or batteries or filters or whatever, there's none of that with this. So value for money, well, because I've spent 30 quid on it and I don't like it, I'll be generous and give it a 2. Style, I'm going to give it a 6 because it is cute, and that is officially the only thing going for it. Design, I want the design to be cool, I want it to work, I want it to be clever. I thought it was going to be all of those things, but it's not. Oh, 2. I think I'm being very generous there. Durability. Well, there's no glass bits. There's no... In theory, there's no breakable bits. So in theory, durability should be pretty good, right? It's aluminium. Let's give it a 4. I feel like I'm being too generous here. Waste. Okay, well, actually, I would say from a waste point of view, like it didn't come with any plastic, cardboard box, paper brochure, little reusable snug bag. There's no waste pods or papers or anything, so I guess 5. Weight and storage. Again, if it worked, storage wise would be fantastic. It packs up really small in a little bag. I could certainly happily make room for something that size. So let's give that a 6. Wow factor. Now the wow factor, I was expecting to give this a 10 out of 10 for its wow factor. But now all I want to say is, wow, it's really crap. Oh God, I don't know. 3.5. So I think for my best camping coffee maker review series, this probably wasn't the best coffee maker to start with, in all honesty. Although it's been kind of fun getting burnt and wondering if my house is going to blow up. So will I be giving up my beloved AeroPress to carry around a Chub coffee maker with me in the camper van? I can't imagine you'd be at all surprised to hear me say that not a freaking chance. This thing is, it's pants. I don't know what else to tell you. Very disappointing week of coffee. I'm really hoping that whichever one I end up reviewing next week is going to perform better than this, because quite frankly, this makes me want to go and drink tea. Now, if you want to join me on this whole series adventure to try and find the ultimate camping coffee maker, then there's a few ways you can do that. Firstly, you can sign up to my email newsletter. We will in time be sending out like a leaderboard with all our favourites, all scored out of 100. You can also find a link in the description box below to a little like Amazon storefront that I've set up. And in there, I'm going to be adding all of the coffee makers that I review. There'll be a link to the YouTube video, so you can actually just follow that link and go and watch the review video. There'll also be the blog post where there'll be even more information, and you can also find the links to your favourite and also to my favourite coffee makers, so you can just go straight ahead and buy them if that's the kind of thing that you're after. So I think that's it for our first ever review. Did you enjoy it? Give me a thumbs up if you did. Did you hate it? If so, please give it a thumbs down. I promise not to cry. I will be back with another of these videos next week. I really hope whatever it is that I review fares a little bit better than this. Until then, beautiful people, take care, happy camping, and I'll see you in the next video.